There's a guy at work who's friendly enough, says good morning, helps when asked, does his job well. But every Friday when the team plans to grab dinner together, he politely declines. First few times, everyone's understanding. Maybe he's busy, maybe next week. By the third month, something shifts. The invitations stop coming. His name gets quietly dropped from the group chat about weekend plans.
Now when he walks into the break room, conversations pause for just a second too long. His coworkers still smile, but it's different. Thinner, more obligatory. Someone mentions the great restaurant they all went to last Saturday, then glances at him and changes the subject. He didn't do anything wrong. He just wanted his weekends to himself.
Then there's the woman who doesn't post on social media. No Instagram stories of her breakfast, no Facebook updates about her day, no photos from that family wedding she attended. She lives her life fully, experiences everything deeply, just doesn't feel the need to broadcast it. But to everyone else, it's like she's living in the shadows.
Friends get frustrated with her. Did you even go on that trip? I don't see any pictures. Coworkers Google her name for her birthday and find almost nothing, then ask oddly personal questions about why she's so private. Family members call her parents, asking if she's okay because she never posts anything. Her silence online becomes a concern that requires explanation, intervention, investigation. I used to think this was just about preference. Some people are social butterflies, others prefer solitude. No big deal, right? But watch what actually happens when someone consistently chooses to be alone. Watch how quickly preference gets reclassified as pathology. Society doesn't just notice the loners, it punishes them. And I'm not talking about obvious cruelty or direct confrontation. I'm talking about something far more insidious, the slow, quiet withdrawal of social acceptance, the subtle implications that something must be wrong, the unspoken message that your solitude is a problem that needs fixing. And if this is hitting close to home, if you're recognizing these patterns in yourself or people around you, hit subscribe. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who need to hear this stuff. And honestly, the algorithm rewards it. Plus, we're diving deeper from here, and you won't want to miss where this goes. Here's what we don't talk about enough. Being alone by choice threatens something fundamental in the social contract. When you're comfortable in your own company, when you don't need constant validation or weekend plans to feel complete, you're inadvertently holding up a mirror to everyone who can't sit with themselves for 5 minutes. Your contentment in solitude suggests that maybe all that frantic socializing isn't actually necessary. And people hate that mirror. They hate it because it forces them to question why they're exhausting themselves maintaining connections that don't nourish them, why they're saying yes to invitations that drain them, why they're performing enthusiasm for activities they secretly dread. Your peaceful solitude becomes an accusation they never asked for, a silent judgment on their inability to be alone. So rather than examine their own discomfort with themselves, they decide you're the problem. The punishment starts small and seemingly benign. Concerned questions. Are you sure you're okay? You know you can talk to me if something's wrong, right? These aren't genuine wellness checks, they're social audits. They're testing whether your aloneness is temporary and understandable or permanent and concerning. And if you keep insisting you're genuinely fine, that you actually enjoy your own company, the concern curdles into something else entirely. It becomes suspicion. Because in a world where loneliness is assumed to be the default state of solitude, choosing to be alone and being happy about it doesn't compute. You must be lying, they think. You must be hiding pain, nursing wounds, avoiding something. The idea that you might simply prefer your own company, that you might find peace and restoration in solitude, doesn't fit the narrative they've been taught since childhood. So they keep probing, keep questioning, keep trying to fix what isn't broken, until their concern becomes the very thing that makes you want to avoid them. Because here's the reality. Society has built entire structures around the idea that humans need constant social engagement to be healthy, that isolation equals loneliness equals dysfunction. We've medicalized solitude, turned preference into symptom, made loner sound like a diagnosis instead of a personality type. And anyone who contradicts this narrative by being alone and happy becomes a problem that needs solving. Think about how we talk about alone time. It's always framed as temporary relief before returning to the real work of socializing. Solo activities are hobbies, but group activities are connection. Eating alone is sad. Eating with others is healthy. We've created an entire cultural framework that treats solitude as deficit and constant connection as virtue, regardless of whether that connection is meaningful or just noise. And within this framework, the person who genuinely thrives in their own company becomes an anomaly, a glitch in the system, something that needs correction. we can't allow them to exist contentedly outside the structure, because their existence questions whether the structure itself is necessary. Watch what happens in workplaces. The person who eats lunch at their desk instead of joining the cafeteria crowd gets labeled as not a team player. Never mind that they complete their work excellently, help colleagues when needed, contribute meaningfully in meetings. The fact that they don't perform social availability during lunch becomes a character flaw. Performance reviews mention engagement concerns. Promotion conversations include phrases like, doesn't really fit the culture. And what does culture mean in this context? It means performing constant availability, being visibly social, demonstrating that you're part of the tribe even during moments that should be your own. The actual quality of your work becomes secondary to whether you're willing to sacrifice your lunch break on the altar of forced camaraderie. Companies talk about work-life balance while punishing anyone who tries to maintain boundaries between their professional contribution and their personal energy. They say they value results, but what they actually value is performance of belonging, the visible demonstration that you've subordinated your individual needs to the collective demands. And the person who quietly refuses this exchange, who gives their work but keeps their lunch hour, becomes a threat to the entire social economy of the office.
And the cruelest part? The punishment is designed to look like care. No one says, we're excluding you because you won't perform sociability on our terms. Instead, they say, we're worried about you. They frame exile as intervention, social rejection as concern. You're not being punished for being different, you're being helped back to normal. The violence hides behind a mask of compassion. This is how systems of control maintain themselves, by convincing you that your resistance to them is actually a symptom of your brokenness. When you decline the weekend plans, they don't say your boundaries make us uncomfortable, they say we're concerned you're isolating yourself. When you don't post your life online, they don't say your privacy threatens our need for constant access, they say we're worried because we never know what you're up to. The language of care becomes a weapon of conformity. And it's particularly insidious because it makes you doubt yourself. Maybe they're right, you think. Maybe something is wrong with me. Maybe my need for solitude is actually avoidance. Maybe my contentment alone is actually depression I haven't recognized. The punishment works by making you complicit in your own surveillance, turning you against your own instincts until you're policing yourself more effectively than anyone else ever could.
This extends beyond work into every corner of life. Family gatherings where leaving after a few hours gets met with hurt feelings and passive-aggressive comments. You're leaving already? I guess we're not important enough. Friendships that dissolve not because of conflict, but because you don't text back fast enough, don't show up to every hangout, don't perform constant availability. The message is clear. Your presence belongs to us, and withholding it is betrayal. Never mind that you showed up, that you engaged genuinely while you were there, that you contributed to the moment. The crime is that the moment ended when you decided it should end, rather than when the group consensus determined. You're supposed to stay until staying becomes leaving together, until your departure is sanctioned by collective exhaustion rather than individual need. And if you dare to honor your own limits, to say, I've had enough, I'm going home, you're framed as selfish, as not caring, as choosing yourself over the people who love you. But here's the thing they won't admit. They're choosing their comfort over your well-being. They're demanding you deplete yourself to make them feel valued. And they've convinced themselves this extraction is actually love.
What we're really seeing is a culture that's terrified of people who don't need external validation to feel whole. Because if you can be happy alone, if you can find meaning and peace in your own company, you're not dependent on the social structures that keep everyone else locked in place. You're not afraid of missing out because you're not missing anything. You're not performing for approval because you don't need approval to feel valuable. This independence is deeply threatening to a system built on mutual dependence, on everyone needing everyone else to ward off the terror of being alone with themselves. The entire social economy runs on the fear of solitude. People maintain exhausting connections, show up to events they don't enjoy, perform enthusiasm they don't feel, all because the alternative of being alone has been painted as the worst possible fate. But here's what they don't want you to know. You've already discovered the secret they're desperately trying to suppress. Being alone isn't lonely if you actually like yourself, and that discovery undermines the entire architecture of social control. Because once you realize that solitude can be chosen, that it can be peaceful rather than punishing, the system loses its grip on you. They can't threaten you with loneliness if you're not afraid of being alone. They can't punish you with exclusion if you've already chosen yourself. So if you're the person who declines the plans, who guards your energy, who finds peace in your own company, know this: you're not broken, you're not missing something, You're free. And that freedom, that quiet refusal to need what everyone else desperately clings to, that's the most radical thing you can be. Stay free.